welcome to Roanoke County Today. I'm Teresa Hall, Roanoke County's Public Information Director. Just ahead, we'll have an update on the Glenver Library project, including a peek at what the new building will look like. Plus, we'll tell you about a program for local businesses designed to save you money. Stay with us. The end of September marked a new chapter for the Glenver Library, and no one can tell this tale better than Diana Rosapep, who is Director of Roanoke County's Library Services. Diana, thank you so much for taking the time out to come and sit down and talk to us, about the ceremony that was held September 29th today for our taping purposes, and also to give us sort of an update on where we are with the new Glenver Library project. But let's go ahead and start with the ceremony. It was September 29th, and you had a lot of folks from the community come out, and I think that was intentional.
It certainly was. I thought it was a great ceremony, and it was wonderful to be able to include the community in this event. They've been such a big part of this project all along. You seldom get as much support from anyone as we have from the Glenver community. They've been at all our public meetings, they've come to the Board of Supervisors,
That's true.
Written to us online, they have talked to us in person, they call all the time. They're very invested in this project. So when it came time to devise a ceremony to mark the closing of the little old library and the beginning of the new one, it just was a natural fit to involve them too.
And what we have also was an opportunity to show the citizens, the folks who came out here, what the new library is going to look like. And it's extraordinary. It's going to take about a year, right?
It is. It should be. We hope to have it completed by December of next year or perhaps January of the following year, but about a 12-month construction period. And at the end of it, we're going to have this fabulous new resource for the citizens of Glenver. I think they're going to really love it, especially when you contrast it with the old building, which was tiny and worn out and outdated.
At one time it was a jewel box, I think you said, but then it became a shoe box. A lot of people referred to the Glenver Library as a shoe box, literally.
It was tiny. You could either have things inside it or you could have people, but it was hard to have both.
Right. And this new library is going to be, what is it, 3 times the size?
It will be 3 times the size of the old one, and far more open and accessible by all the citizens, and the view shed will be beautiful. People will be looking out at the mountains instead of through those little slit windows the old building had. So.
Well, I thought one thing that was particularly poignant was an idea of yours, and that was the lowering of the flag. There wasn't an opportunity. A lot of times you see shovels in the ground, but this time it was a lowering of the flag. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, this library has served us very well for 33 years. It wasn't its fault that it really wasn't built to do what it's doing. So we wanted to honor that, not just say this was a terrible place or something, because it wasn't. It was just, we had outgrown it. And so by lowering the flag, we wanted to pay our respects to the old library and to mark a symbolic closing. So, and then passing the flag from citizen to citizen to
again incorporate those folks who have really came out and said, this is what we want, and thank you for your help, and make us a part of it.
That's right, and all of them represented different user groups at the library too who spoke to us. So we just wanted to make it a fitting tribute to an old friend who now has done its duty and can go away.
So what will we see in the coming weeks now? It's the end of September, but starting sometime in October, will it be like a demolition of sorts?
In early October, the old building will start to come down. A crew will be coming in to remove it. It will be mainly recycled, so it won't be any drain on the environment. It will be, the materials will be recycled into other projects elsewhere, so we're really pleased with that too. And then site grading work will begin and the actual construction of the new building will start.
Now, during that time, you've already located to a separate location, so you can still somewhat provide as much library services as you can.
We have diversified our library services a little bit. We're in the old King's Florist building, 2630 West Main. They're holding story times in various places around the area, and But we do have our computers available and some books, and the library staff is there to help you. So we hope you'll come in and see us during the temporary period.
Well, I know the citizens have said, yeah, keep us informed. So
Yes.
will we see the renderings on the library
Yes,
website?
absolutely.
A continued effort to try to keep the public involved and communicate?
Yes, we're really excited to be able to show these renderings. We think it's a really beautiful library, and people are going to be very pleased when they see it. So yes, it'll be on our website.
All right. Well, a fantastic ceremony, Diana, and great job on getting the renderings out here. I think it's really important to the community to be able to see what the new library is going to look like. We appreciate it.
Thank you. And thanks for coming.
Absolutely. A complete pleasure. And stay with us. We'll be right back. Roanoke County is working to spread the word about a fantastic program for local businesses. Jim Vodnick is with Roanoke County and is over the program. And Debbie Mitchell is a local business owner, and you're going to talk to us about what the energy audit was all about, what it was like for you. But let's go ahead and start with you, Jim. Give the viewers an overview of this energy audit program and why it's beneficial for local businesses to listen up and to perhaps give you a call.
Okay, glad to. Roanoke County received a stimulus grant from the federal government in 2009, $372,000, and the purpose of that grant was to save energy and create jobs. So part of what the county has done is to retrofit a lot of its buildings, the lighting and the heating controls and so on and so forth, but also we wanted to give some of that money to the community to help them save energy and save money and keep those dollars local. So part of the funds that we dedicated to that were for free energy audits. We are giving away 100 free energy audits, 60 of which went to residences. 40 are now being dedicated to small businesses in Roanoke County and Vinton.
Fantastic. And Debbie Mitchell here was your first local business to sign up. Tell us about what the experience was like for you to have someone come in and kind of give your business the once over to tell you, I guess, eventually how you can save some money on energy.
It was great. It was painless. It was very quick. They got here at 8 o'clock before we opened. They were done by around 9 o'clock when we were opening for business. I was so happy to participate in this in order to save some money. And one of the most astonishing things was they found that all the little holes that we have in the basement where there's pipes going out and some of the things in the attic would be equivalent to a 4-foot hole in the wall. So we know that by plugging those things up, we're going to save money and save energy. So it was a great program.
So essentially those holes were like dollar signs going out.
Exactly.
And was this, I mean, did you feel like anybody was intruding on you when I believe it was TAP came in to perform the audit?
Not at all, not at all. They were very professional, and they came in, like I said, before we opened for business, and they really were here just to tell us what we could do to be more energy efficient and save money.
What are some of the examples of things that you can do that TAP would recommend to businesses? Not necessarily Debbie's, but any business.
Well, the energy checkup covers just about everything in the building, from the building envelope, which is the exterior shell of the structure, to the insulation levels, to the heating and cooling equipment, to lighting, and also miscellaneous equipment if you have computers and things like that. You can easily save a good portion of money on your electric bill by converting from incandescent lights to compact fluorescents or LEDs. And that is, when you replace a bulb, you should always go with something more energy efficient. You can change your furnace filters, your air conditioning filters. You can go around the building if you're a do-it-yourselfer and do some caulking where you see penetrations and holes in the exterior walls of the building. You can go up in your attic and look around for penetrations through the attic floor and caulk those, seal those. Look at your insulation levels, add insulation if you have less than 6 inches already existing. Make sure you have double pane windows all the way around, things like that. The audit will cover about 30 different things that you can do as a small business, many of which are do-it-yourself and many of which are no cost at all. It's just behaviors, turning off lights, turning off computers, setting down your thermostat in the winter, and setting it up in the summer so you're not cooling the buildings as much.
Now, Debbie, this audit for you was entirely free.
That's right.
Did you just gave Jim a call and set up the time? And
I saw it in SWOCO. I sent him an email on Friday night, and he got back to me on Monday.
Fantastic.
And went very smoothly.
Excellent. So it sounds like it's something that you recommend for 39 other businesses out there to give Jim a call and to sign up for this entirely free program.
Please hurry. It was well worth the time.
Excellent. Debbie, you actually saw the information about these energy audits in the newspaper, but the information is also on Roanoke County Economic Development's website. That's yesroanoke.org. What can you find there, Jim?
You can find the complete application that you can fill out and send email to me. You also find the program description that describes basically what the energy checkup entails. It tells you what we consider a small business. We can't do really large buildings or multi-story buildings or malls, but we can do single, kind of a detached building like Deborah's nationwide building here, or we can do some strip malls as well. So it gives you all the specifics you need to know if you qualify, if your business qualifies.
All right, Jim, it's always a pleasure talking with you. Thanks and good luck with your program. And Debbie, good luck with your energy audit results, okay?
Thanks.
All right, everyone, stay there. We'll be right back. On November 1st, Roanoke County Police Chief Ray Lavender will retire after a long and distinguished career with Roanoke County. Joining me now to talk about this new chapter in his life, Roanoke County Police Chief Ray Lavender and Assistant Chief Terrell Holbrook. Thank you, gentlemen, so much, and congratulations to you, Chief.
Thank you.
You know, people watching probably, the first question is why? Why retire now?
Well, I think that, there comes a time in every person's life when they say, this is the perfect time for me to retire, and I think this is the perfect time for me to retire.
You've been chief, I believe, since June of 1997,
That's
but
right.
You've actually been with the county much longer than that, dating back to when? When did you come here?
I came here in September of 1979.
And so when we say a long career, we mean it.
That's true.
Assistant Chief Terrell Holbrook, what do you think that Ray will be remembered for?
We're going to miss a good leader. Ray has been instrumental in developing the department in a lot of fronts. The crisis intervention team training, I think, is one that is significant.
Right,
he was a leader in the state that worked towards ensuring officers work with those that are in crisis, and it was under his leadership that we were able to see that program launched, and we're excited about that.
A lot of people don't know, but that was a sort of a passion for you, has been, and probably will continue to be, and that's working with folks that do have mental illness.
Sure.
As in law enforcement work, you see that a lot.
Sure. I would say probably as much as 40% of our calls involve persons who are in crisis or have some issues that they are unable to work with or work out throughout their lives. And so, if there's any way we can help them, many times, if we can avoid arrest in a situation, we certainly want to do that. And so we just feel like that's such a critical part of our work that we should concentrate on it.
I know pride in your staff is something that you have continually said over the years is one of the things that makes you most proud, and those officers have to go out and work day to day never knowing what they're going to encounter.
That's true, and you do face some dangers out there, and some of those dangers are a result of the way people are feeling or acting, and that's so critical to an officer's job, that he feels that he has the tools and the training to deal with people and other situations that he might encounter.
Right. As far as projects, firing range, one of the most important for you, and the academy?
Sure, I think those probably have about an equal importance to me. I have always concentrated on training. I felt that training was critical for the officers to do a good job, and the getting of the academy so we could do our own training, we could concentrate in the areas that we wish to concentrate in. There are very few firing ranges in this area now, and we felt like that was critical to have the proper firearms training for our people, and the only way we could get that was to develop our own range, and that's that's paid real dividends for us.
And it's not just a range, Terrell. It's you've got a driver training center up there as well, correct?
That's correct. Opened that up in 2005. Again, one of the chief's visions to try and ensure that the training for the officers was to provide them with the very best skills to do the job, and I think it does that.
School resource officer program, something you're equally proud of as well.
Right. Yes, we started that back in the late 90s. We had no school resource officers when I became chief. We worked with the Roanoke County schools, and probably one of the best systems in the state.
I agree.
We're so proud of our schools, and we work with them very diligently to get the school resource officer program up and running, and it's been very, very successful.
And animal control officers, we're different, aren't we?
We're very different from most animal control officer programs in the state. Most of those programs, the officers are trained merely as animal control officers. We first train our animal control officers as police officers. They have full police powers, and they're able to deal with any situation that they might encounter while they're on the street. And we train them to very, very much deal with the public.
Right.
And when you have a problem with your companion animal, that's very critical in a person's life, especially if they've had that animal for a long period of time.
It's like a family member.
True. And we train our officers to be sensitive to that, and to be sensitive of the owner's needs and wants in that situation. And it's been very, very successful.
Well, speaking of successful, we're going to let Terrell talk about this a little bit. One of the last, I guess, big cases for you was the search for Brittany Smith and the arrest of the suspect who took the life of her mother. Terrell, do you think that's going to, when people look back on Ray's career, that's going to stand out as one of the biggest cases of his career?
I think certainly it was an opportunity for the department to show its mettle. The chief was the face of that during that time. He was. And consistently kept us as a department focused through his insight on what was important. And by virtue of doing that, by being willing to step up and share the word and share the message, we were fortunate to see some closure in situations that don't always turn out quite like that.
What was that time like for you?
It was a very tiring time. As you know, and I saw you here at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. All of us got just a couple hours of sleep at night, but I think we were all solely dedicated to returning that young girl to her home safely. And it was tiring, and I think we got on each other's nerves at times, but we worked as a group, and I think many people have commented they have never worked on a better operation that went more smoothly. So I'm very proud of our people and of the other agencies that helped us, and it was very successful.
What do you plan to do once you do retire? Have you had a time to even think about what you and your wife would like to do?
I really haven't concentrated on it that much. I know that I'd like to just take about 6 months and do nothing and read some books. I have a stack of books that I've been planning to read for years, and I hope to get through them this winter and maybe work on some building projects. There's some things around the house that need to be done, and I'll be doing those. And just having fun for about 6 months, and then I may decide, I want to do other things. I do some volunteer work. I want to continue to do that, and we'll see where my life goes after about 6 months.
It's going to be so different. 40 years practically in law enforcement. It's a very, very long time.
It'll be a change for me.
Do you think it was the right career for you?
Yes. No question about it.
I'm Jennifer Conley Sexton, the Volunteer and Marketing Coordinator with Roanoke County's Fire and Rescue Department. Did you know the leading cause of home fires in Roanoke County is from cooking? Along with me now is Brian Klingenpeel, our Public Education Specialist, to tell us more. Hi, Brian. Thanks for
Jennifer.
being here.
Thank you.
We're actually here at the training center where we've just done a cooking demonstration that obviously didn't go well. We'll show that in a little bit. But October is Fire Prevention Month, and we're focusing on cooking safety because there have been so many fires from cooking in Roanoke County. First, tell us what's up, what's going on in the kitchen.
Well, it is number one in Roanoke County. It's also number one across America. So it's a very common thing. I think it comes back to just folks live busy lives nowadays, and they put stuff on the stove and they don't think about that you need to stay with it if you have something on the stove. And I think a lot of it comes from unintended cooking, people being distracted, putting something on the stove and forgetting about it and leaving it there, and then they wind up with a problem.
Okay, so give me some safety tips how I can be safe in the kitchen when I'm cooking.
The biggest thing is if you have something on the stove, we really want you to stay with it. Is the biggest thing. So one of the things that we tell folks is if you have something on the stove, a good way to help you remember that is just to put something in your hand, a wooden spoon, a spatula, and all that does is it just serves as a physical reminder that you've got something on the stove. Then if you get distracted and go in the other room to answer the door, to take a telephone call, to sit down, we hope you don't do that, because again, if you have something on the stove, you really need to stay with it. But hopefully you'll look at that spoon and remember, I got something on the stove and I need to go back and tend to it. So it's just a physical reminder to do that. Also, a very common thing is grease fires in the kitchen, and that's what we did here today. And so if you have a grease fire, the best way to put it out is with a lid that fits that pan, and then to turn off the heat. You want to cover it and turn off the heat is the best way to put out a grease fire. We never ever want to see water put on a grease fire. Water is not the way to put out a grease fire. It only spreads it. Spreads is kind of a mild word if you ask me. In some of the demonstrations I've seen, water on a grease fire really makes it explode. And you're going to have a really bad situation then.
Okay, so in the first demonstration that we're going to show, is what? Walk me through the process of what people are going to see.
Yeah, the first fire is just, it takes about 15 or 20 minutes for about 1.5 inches of oil is what we use today, and it catches on fire. You're going to have small flames. If you recognize it at that point, that is a grease fire, is we want you to use the lid that fits that pan as a shield. You also want to have on an oven mitt or have a hot mat. It's going to be hot as you get over close to that fire. So you want to use that as a shield, and you want to work from the front to the back and cover it. And when you put that lid on, once you've got the lid on, now you can turn off the heat to that burner. And what we've done from a fire science standpoint is we've taken away the oxygen and we've taken away the heat. And when you take away 2 legs of what we call the fire triangle, then the fire goes out. We saw that today. When we covered it and turned off the heat, the fire went out. Now you have to remember, after you do that, that pan is going to stay hot for a long time. So you've got to let it cool down before you try to move it. Again, as we demonstrated today, if you take the lid back off, that's really all it takes. If we introduce oxygen back into it and it's still hot, it's going to light off and burn again.
All right, and that's what happened when we continued on with the demonstration. Then, of course, the fire continues. And it really only takes seconds or a few minutes for a fire to change from being a small fire in a pot to being an out-of-control fire spreading throughout your kitchen.
Yeah, it really doesn't take long. And the smoke conditions today for our demonstration, we were outside. Had we been inside and all of that smoke and heat would have been trapped into a kitchen inside, we would have seen a much different situation. You would not have been able to stay in that kitchen once the fire started past about 3 to 5 minutes. People just wouldn't have been able to stay in there because of the smoke and the heat.
Okay, so the bottom line really, it sounds like, is stay in the kitchen when you're cooking, stay focused, and don't get distracted.
That's right. That's exactly right.
If people want to review the information that we provided here today or to get more information, where can they go?
They can go to our website at www.roanokecountyva/fire rescue.
Great. We want to thank the training division and the fire crews who helped us with this demonstration today. And thank you, Brian, for this life-saving information. It was great.
You're welcome.
That's all for this month's edition of Roanoke County Today. In closing, we want to leave you with some of the sights and sounds from last month's regional ceremony in recognition of the 10-year anniversary of 9/11. Hope to see you again next month.
women whose words have inspired us to live as free people. Those words are more than historical fact. They remain great inspiration. We come once again to let the words of freedom free.
My name is Rick Birch, and Chief of Roanoke County Fire and Rescue, and I cannot tell you how honored and humbled I am today to be part of this program. I noticed when the choir sang their songs, looking into the audience, I've already seen some of you with tears in your eyes. Well, all I can do is tell you to hold on, because we've got a program today that will certainly touch your hearts and your minds, and we thank you for being here.
Almighty Comforter, today we approach your throne with particularly heavy hearts as we remember the tragic events in our global community on this day 10 years ago. We find ourselves drawn to you today with the burdens and the questions we still carry in the shadow of that awful day.
This is our most important event as we remember our fallen on that tragic day 10 years ago. We want to say thank you from the bottom of our hearts to all men and women in uniform today and out of uniform today for protecting us, serving us, and making sure that we're safe and we can gather for an event like today.
There's not a person who was alive that day, who was over 5 years old, that can't tell you exactly what they were doing on that day. You know, generations before us, it's what were you doing when President Kennedy was assassinated? Now it's what were you doing on September 11th? Where were you? What did you see? What did you do? So on behalf of the Governor, Governor Bob McDonnell, I want to thank all of those here today who are serving in whatever capacity, whether it be law enforcement, whether it be fire, EMS, military, and those citizens who have come here today to pay tribute on this 10th anniversary. Thank you for being here, and God bless all of you.
My father was a fireman. He drove a big red truck. And when he, excuse me, and when he'd go to work each day, he'd say, "Mother, wish me luck." Then Dad would not come home again till sometime the next day. But the thing that bothered me the most was the thing some folks would say.